Hello YouTube, Matt here from the Forensic Operator Lab, and I'm back at you with another video. And in today's video we're going to be going over, as you see in my terminal here, Hashcat. I'm in a Hashcat folder, and that is because I'm going to be teaching you guys about how to install Hashcat and use it on an AlmaLinux system. So in the first part of this video, like I just said, I'm going to be going over how to install this, and this involves going over how to actually build it, since it's not packaged up in Red Hat repositories, and I will also be teaching you guys about how to get all of the necessary drivers for it to work with your graphics card, or in my case, the integrated graphics on my CPU. And then after that, I will be going over how to actually use it. So in this case, we'll be using it against an example that it has in the repository, which makes us do a list of a bunch of hashes and crack them based on a dictionary that was automatically generated. So if this seems interesting to you, I hope that you watch the rest of this video and learn about how to do the rest. So stick with me and let's get into this after a short word about my sponsor. Or rather sponsors, Blue Cape Security and my blog, the Forensic Operator Lab. Blue Cape Security is an all-in-one platform for us, for the Blue team. So they provide free and paid training tracks. So the free courses include building your own lab, DFIR tutorials, and some free stuff that includes DFIR foundations and techniques in a couple of courses, and those courses show you all of the Windows and Linux fundamentals that you need, as well as incident response fundamentals as well. And you also have some stuff about command and control for attacking and defending, and a whole bunch of ransomware stuff too. So check that out to see if you like it, and if you do like it, you can go for the thing that I have an affiliate link for, which is the investigation-driven DFIR training platform, which has different training tracks. And in this case, you have all the way from the core track to the hero bundle, and in these mini bundles, you have everything from SOC operations and enterprise defense fundamentals to adding Windows disk and memory forensics, to even advanced incident response and ransomware tactics that you could use. And in the hero bundle, you have every single thing, and you can have fun learning with a year of attack and defense labs included in it. And I think that this platform is a very good platform to learn on. It's one of the many that I used before, and you can have full access to everything for just $1,500, and that is a steal considering many courses out there are that price, or even more in the case of SANS and other very specific courses in the Blue Team world. And there are many testimonials here that you can read through, and they can help you to decide whether you want it or not. And by scrolling down more on the page, you can see more about what each tier offers. And I think that these are a really good deal, and you should just check them out, and this will help fund the channel if you do so. So I'll flash a link on screen now, which you can use to get your course, and I will get a little bit of kickback off of that. So with that out of the way, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the video. Hello everybody, welcome to the first part of my video where I teach you guys how to install everything that you need for the Hashcat to work on your AlmaLinux system. So first of all, what we're going to want to first do is go to the Hashcat repository on GitHub, which is where I got my stuff from. So under here, what we have to do is we have to go to this, we have to copy out this address and clone it to wherever we want. And I'm not going to press enter there since I'm already in the Hashcat folder, as you see. And now what we're going to do is just list out everything. And so we see here, even after I built it, there's a few things that are very interesting to us. So first of all, we have these hash files right here, and we have examples to run through. And those examples are going to be covered in the next part, as well as the dictionaries that they have. And in this part, what we're going to cover is we're going to cover how to install this from what we have here. So first of all, what you need to make sure is you need to make sure you enter the, assuming that you're on AlmaLinux and installing this on your own for the first time, make sure that you have all of the developer tools by using the command sudo dnf group install development tools. And I will verify that it's that right now correctly by catting out /bash_history and piping that into grep. Yes, so it's sudo dnf group install development tools, and once you do that, you should have a lot of stuff for development. So what you're going to need is a lot of Perl libraries. You're going to need CMake, make, and all of the libc development libraries and stuff like that. And you're going to also need Rust stuff. So I had all of that, or I had most of that stuff installed already before I did this, because I had to build other stuff like the UFADE binaries and other binary stuff that required me to have Python build enabled, so I already had that requirement met already too. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to cat out build.md on Linux, Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V, and we are going to check out the requirements for building it. So we need to have at least Python 3.12, and on this computer I naturally have I have 3.12.13, which is the latest version of 3.12 at the making of this video, and so I had that covered. So yeah, and then I also have PyEnv installed, in which I did something similar to this, and I had all of these installed already by just doing it. And so yeah, I had that, and I installed this, and I had this, and I did sudo make install, which allowed me to install the program, and after having all of the libraries built correctly, I was able to get the hashcat command, and the first thing I ran for that is hashcat ---- version, and it did that, so the 7.1.2 version, and I was able to successfully verify that I have Hashcat installed. But I needed to do something extra to get Hashcat working correctly, and in order to do that, in order to get the Hashcat running correctly, I had to install some graphics platform tools. So first of all, I installed OpenCL and whatever, and that didn't work at first. It still showed that I had 0 platforms. And I installed the Intel platform tools. It's the Intel Compute Platform. And then after that, I finally gave up for a while, and I realized that since I have the AMD Ryzen 9950X processor in my computer, I have to install ROCm for that, since I don't have a graphics card connected to it to get it to recognize the processor. So in order to do that, I typed in Okay, I was on the man page for Hashcat for the next video. So I typed in ROCm RHEL, since AlmaLinux is a derivative of RHEL. And what I got from here is, since I'm on RHEL 10.1 or 10.2, which I could still use these packages, I copied out all of this information to get the repo, and I downloaded ROCm, and all of this ROCm stuff is to the tune of about either 6 or 9 gigabytes. I can't remember exactly how much it was. I should have documented how big it was, but it was quite a few packages. So we downloaded all of those packages, and I was able to get this -I. I was able to get it to show everything correctly, all of my platforms, and to show my AMD Radeon processor correctly. And so now let me get into how to actually use this program. And that will be the next part of the video, so I'll be back with that. So welcome to the second part of the video, and in this part of the video what I want to say is I want to say how to use this program. And since I don't have any concrete examples right now that I can actually show, I'll just use the examples in the repository to prove my point, or to show my point of how to use it. So first of all, one thing that you might want to do here is run clinfo, since this is Linux and you're probably using OpenCL for this. And see how many platforms you have and what it lists out right here, so you can pause gradually and see whatever these things are. Whatever all these information about my processor is. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to list out everything in my directory. And so we feast our eyes back on these examples, example0.sh, example0.hash, and these dictionary files. And so if we cut out the first example, it will show us something along the lines of this. It will show us hashcat minus m0 minus t32 minus a7 and example0.hash, which is that file of hashes, and to compare them against a dictionary file called d. And so what this does is specifies the hash type with minus m, the attack type, which is of 7, and t of 32, which if we go here to the man page, and do a control F of minus t, and look through this, minus t of table type, okay, doesn't show our minus t of 37 table file. Yeah, it doesn't show any of this minus t option. That makes sense for this. So we'll just have to see what it does when it's done. And as it goes, I'll just talk through some of the things that it's doing. So first of all, what it starts doing is it starts iterating through our platforms, and our platforms right here is an AMD processor, and there's no second device, no graphics card installed, so it skips the graphics card, and it takes the kernel, and it shows us whatever optimizers we have applied, as well as the dictionaries that there are. And there are 48 gigabytes free, and it's only using 793 megabytes in order to do this. And so this has 120,416 passwords at 1,069,601 bytes, which is just over a gigabyte, or sorry, a megabyte, and it has that key space. And so far it has recovered 2,128 of 609, or 6,494 passwords, which is 32.77% of all that we have. And actually it's doing pretty well, because some of the other times that I tested it at this point through, going through maybe a couple of minutes into it, it was less than this. So if we do it again, I'm at 40. 2128 still. So this might take a while. Okay, it's at 56% progress. 57, 58. So actually at this point, this is getting a little slow, so I'll pause the video really quick and make commentary on the rest when it's done. Okay, I'm back to do a little bit of explaining on some of this stuff right here. So after this finished, there were a few passwords that got cracked, or a few hashes that got cracked right here. So there's these right here and this big list of them down here. And so it did that relatively quickly, given the size of the list and everything. And actually we'll see the size of that list right here, which is Control-C, copy, Control-V, and type that into WC-L for word count. Oh no, that's not number 0. So yeah, 6494, and the actual dictionary.dic, where's the dictionary.dic, the dictionary file? Cat example0.sh. Oh, example.dictionary file. And 6,494 out of 128,416 words. So using this algorithm, it did that fairly quickly, all things considered. And we'll be able to see all of the results for this test of the Hashcat in the hashcat.pot file right here. And so it'll continuously save all of the things that it has in here. So if you accidentally clear your terminal or close the terminal or anything, or you just want to come back to it on a different day and you don't have access to whatever terminal you did on the day that you did this Hashcat stuff and recovered passwords, you can go ahead and just do the pot file and look up by the hash that you remember taking. So for instance, if you remembered this was your hash, you can do cat you can do hashcat.pot file and pipe to grep, and if it's there, it'll give you a line like that, and you can find the password. But I would guess that I would copy this password out to somewhere else or put it in a password manager so that I can have easier access to it later than going through the pot file, but you can do it however you do it at the time that you're doing it. And now at this point, I think that this tutorial would be much longer than it already is if I went over more of the things and went through more examples. And since I don't really want to do that, I really don't want to have a much longer one, I will cap it off here. So I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction to Hashcat and how to install it on an AlmaLinux system and how to use it in a practical way. And this is just scratching the surface of it, and I'm sure that going through tutorials or reading documentation online or through the actual manual pages that you may have on your system, if you're not doing this on AlmaLinux for some reason, you can find out a lot more things to do, and just consulting the manual pages will help you a lot in the case of this whenever you want to go through stuff. Say for instance you have something along the lines of what I was doing of Control F A P P L E. Okay, it doesn't show the Apple Notes. The Apple Notes thing, I think it's 16,900. The specific type for Apple Notes is 16,900, I think. So I was trying to recover the password for Apple Notes. And so you'd have to use a mode of 16,900 and with an algorithm of 16,900, I believe. And actually, I could do that right now. Slash dot. And if I go over to grep, oh, it's 16,200. Yeah, so actually our hash was in the form yeah, the hash that we had was in the form of an MD5 hash, and for Apple Notes was 16,200. And I used this list of all possible words for all.txt, and it generated the list instantaneously. And this file of hashes had 3 hashes to work with, so it gave me 3 passwords which were all the same password. So since I'm not allowed to show you whatever I was doing it on, just take my word for it that that actually worked and that gave me some good stuff, and take that as a first introduction to Hashcat. And now, since that is done, this has been Matt talking to you about Hashcat. And until next time, when I do another one of these videos, Matt out.